Hi everyone, I'm here to present before you our entire year's work for you to analyze and see what actually goes into a design college foundation.
We started our first semester with a very interesting exercise in which we picked up a simple object, the simplest of an object like a scale or a scissor or a paperclip, and using color as the medium, we tried to create a good, aesthetically good looking composition or a beautiful pattern out of the object instead of using it the same old conventional way and thinking some out of the box ideas or ways of representing the same composition with the same object.
So in a way, when we entered foundation, it was a very interesting and a very important exercise for us to understand what is out of the box thinking.
Here we understand line as the element of design in a very different manner where we can express a character or an emotion or a word through lines by using different intensities of lines, maybe a thicker line or a dashed line or a thin line, and how beautifully we can express a word such as illusion or movement or rhythm through lines.
Then we did what I would call maybe one of the most successful exercises that we've done in design, and not just that, a way informative one at that also. This exercise has a very striking resemblance to what we have done in lines before, but the fact that we've done it with newspapers and black paper brought about another dimension to it, because we were not exposed to colors as yet. But since we have used something, a material which is not just black, also brought a different view. Aesthetically, it was more appealing. Also was the fact that the way people interpreted it, the students depicted it, was a great success.
The main aim behind this exercise was to understand the principles of design and to interpret it in our own way and to express it on a piece of black paper using newspapers, by using different sizes of strips of newspapers, by using different shapes of newspapers, etc.
Then came another exercise, which was an interesting and at the same time an unexpected one at that, because we were supposed to hear a piece of music, and through that hearing, we were supposed to depict it through lines and dots. So the idea was not what we were hearing, or the idea was not to take an inspiration, but to emote what we feel.
This is the basic exercise that we did, and learn how to cut straight lines out of paper. The other aspects of line, of how we can integrate it into a form and create something like this.
A lot of exploration happened in terms of the sheet, the forms, the wire and everything, and we also dealt with a lot of other mediums, say plastics. Different forms of plastics were explored. First was the plastic that was the sunboard. And after that, we did polystyrene. Once we were done with polystyrene explorations, as you can see, we moved to another very important form of plastic, which was acrylic. Acrylic was another plastic which was heated to create certain forms, and you can see that the results were exemplary. And this is how the material exploration module went about, and we learned how to explore and how to went about different materials to deal with it in the future.
The next topic was origin, transformation and evolution of an object. Every student was supposed to take an object and study about it, how it originated, transformed and evoluted. Every student took one topic, like somebody took fans, somebody took modes of cleaning, somebody took weapons, and tried studying about it, and then showed the evolution of an object through brochures and models. In this exercise, the basic motive was to understand the role of a designer for as in why did the designer need the object and how according to the needs of the people it changed and evoluted and transformed, and what was the final outcome of it. Some of the models that the students did were these, like in this the student has tried to show the evolution of a knife. Like what did people use in the Stone Age and what do people use at this point of time. Another exciting project that we did in foundation was environment study, in which we visited Surajkund. This project was also helpful for us because we also got to use our computer skills in it, because we did a whole documentation over the project and learnt better layouts of the project. This was one project which was full of excitement and learning. It was a great opportunity for us to see things and understand things in a better way. Our final and the most exciting project was design methodology. A design methodology includes a number of processes and a number of levels. The first level of our design methodology was choosing a craft. Since we had recently been to Surajkund, craft was fresh in our mind. Every student was allowed to choose the craft of their own choices and do an in-depth study of the craft. After the study, they were supposed to make a whole visual journey of the craft that they had studied. We can see a number of these here. The next level of the project was brand study. We were supposed to choose an international brand and do an in-depth study of the brand, understand the tangibles of the brand, how does the brand work, how did it transform through the years. All this went, and then the next level of the study was to go for material sourcing, understand what materials can be used, and meet people, go for search of resources, do your own documentations, understand the problems that you can face during the things, and then the final level was to start making the final product. Our final product was a bodyscape. We did a bodyscape because we wanted to do something which would allow us to make something which would be larger than life, which will allow us to understand materials well and create something which is unique and not done before. After the creation of the final product, the important part is its documentation, because your documentation explains the whole process of how you went about the project. So then came our documentation process, where we documented each and every process that we did in the whole thing, how we did the study of the craft, then how we made the visual boards, then the client profile, client board, form generation and everything. Then came our final prototype, because prototype helps us to understand the measurements and everything of the scape. And then finally the whole documentation went on with each and every information of how the project went.
Our visuals final project was a theme-based project. In that, the topic was multiple personality of a two-faced woman. In this, we have shown the change of the woman from a good to a bad, and that shows the good side of the woman, and this depicts the bad side of her.
This is a final project which we did in module visual studies. This is an integration of all the techniques and all the methods we learned in last 2 semesters. Basically, we used all the mediums like poster colors, dry pastels, pencil colors to create this poster. This is the learning outcome of all the modules, and we used lines, shapes, different forms, human figures, and we created this poster.
This was a final for our visual studies. For our final, we decided to take influences, 3 things that actually influence kids these days. From the kids from 60s who were influenced by marijuana, from music to fashion. And the same way, after a little while, it was alcohol, and through that, we had more of grunge, rock and roll, and the feeling of being a rebel, and that showed in the clothes what they were wearing at that time. And then now, we have color blocking because we have so much of chemicals in our systems. People don't really want any more of marijuana or things like that. It's more of chemicals, and again it shows in the music, because music right now it's all about techno, it's bass and drums. So the 3 things that have been influencing kids for the longest time basically have a ripple effect. If one changes, then the other 2 also change right behind them.
It's all about how you go in a process, expression of individualism.
After coming into Pearl foundation year, I have seen that how we can look into design in a new perspective, and design can be interesting and creative at the same time.
Foundation design has given me the confidence to believe in my ability.
In foundation design, I have learned design is not just about creativity and sketching. It includes lots of planning and organizing.
How important it is to actually learn something about design. We all think that we know everything about it, but when going back to the basics, it's completely different.